Hi everyone, and welcome back to another HMW art video. So this is my first video of the new year, and unfortunately it is not a tutorial. I did want this to be a tutorial, but when I edited it as a tutorial, it was around 30 minutes long, and there's no way I'm posting a 30-minute long video. So this one is a time lapse. So as you can see with this canvas design, I am using the basics paint to create the henna design on it. A lot of people do wonder what kind of paint to use. The best one that I have seen a lot of people use is basics, and after using it myself, I can see why. It has all the characteristics of a really good henna paste in that it is thick and smooth. Occasionally it does bubble as it comes out, and that might ruin the line a little bit. You can see sometimes when I'm draping lines, it will break, the line will break, and that's mostly because there are some air bubbles inside the henna cone which don't disappear because the formula of the paint is really quite thick. That's okay, I don't have a problem with that. It does sometimes mess up the design a little bit, but it's perfectly normal for things to go a little bit wrong. I don't really think there's ever going to be a piece of work that's absolutely perfect, so I'm okay with that. This particular design has a lot of geometric shapes in it, and initially when I started it and I pre-drew out the squares on it, and you'll know what I mean by that once you see the final design. When I pre-drew out the squares on it without the filler details, I had no idea what the filler details were going to be. I just knew the outline shape. But as I was doing this design, I was making it up as I went along, and it sort of turned into this design. I really didn't expect it to look like this in the end. In the beginning of the video, you saw me show you guys a pack of gems. I got that from Poundland in the UK. They are available now, and I would highly recommend getting these. It does say that they are pre-glued, or they have adhesive on them so that you can just take them off and stick them on your canvas. I don't think that's really the case, because when you take the gems off of the packet, the sticky backing comes off as well. So you will need something to stick these gems on, but considering that this is only £1, I think it's a great pack of gems. My favorite part of this entire design were the pearls. I love the pearls. You can see here that I've picked two acrylic paint colors for the design. I've picked gold and I've picked silver. I would really recommend this paint brand for doing your henna canvases. You can of course do what I said in one of my henna doodle videos, which is grab any kind of acrylic paint, and then, because they're usually runny, leave them outside and allow the air to harden the paint, mixing it every now and then so that it hardens evenly, and then use that as the paint in your acrylic paint cone. But if you don't want to go through that hassle, then you can just go ahead and buy the basics paint. If you're not able to get a hold of the basics paint, then I would recommend trying to search down paint cones that have a thick quality. So usually they're described as being able to hold their shape. I wouldn't recommend getting oil paints, because even though they are thick and do hold their shape, they will take forever to dry. So try and make sure that it is an acrylic paint cone when you're trying to create colored henna designs on canvas or even on a candle. This is the first henna canvas that I have ever done, and it was also the first time that I've ever used the basics paint. So in the beginning you might have noticed that I wasn't used to the paint, so it was breaking as it came out, because I just didn't know how much pressure I should put on the cone to make sure that this paint doesn't come out too quickly or too slowly. In other words, anytime you use a product for the first time, you do go through an adjustment period. Even if, for example, you are used to using henna paste, shall we say, to do your henna designs, that doesn't mean that you'll use the same pressure on your henna cone when you're using an acrylic paint. Sometimes you do need to adjust the pressure, and I went through that trying to learn how to do things phase at the beginning of this canvas, so you might see that the designs aren't as neatly put down around the center of the design. But I think that as I went around the edge, it did become a little bit neater to look at. In the past, I have done henna doodles on cardboard which has been painted. They were practice canvas pieces. I had never done a canvas before, so I just wanted to make sure that I could understand the way acrylic paint works. But at the same time, I was also not using the basics paint. I was using acrylic paint which I had hardened out in the air. So I wouldn't consider them to be my first canvas pieces. This is my first genuine canvas piece. The design itself took me about 4.5 hours to do, and the main technique that I used whilst creating this design is draping lines. You can see that there are so many lines in this design, especially on the second rectangle. I feel like the best technique that I have learned how to do since I started henna, maybe about a year and a few months ago, is draping lines. Once you start draping lines, you will see the quality of your work just improve in a way that you didn't imagine that it could. It makes the biggest difference. So I would highly, highly recommend that if you haven't learned how to drape lines yet, that you try it out. I'm kind of sad that I can't do this as a tutorial. Technically speaking, I can, but the problem is that if I put up a video which is around 30 minutes long, it's pretty unlikely that anyone would watch the whole thing. And on YouTube, the quality of our videos from YouTube's perspective is based on watch time, so how long you guys watch the video for. And if you're not watching very much of it, YouTube assumes that that means your video isn't of a high quality, and as a result it puts you lower down on the search engine, which means that less people will find you, and that doesn't help me. So it really isn't beneficial for me to put up a 30-minute tutorial, which is why I'm only putting this up as a time lapse. I know that this video had a lot of random ramblings in it. I'm sorry about that if it was quite boring to listen to. But I just wanted to get a voiceover in here purely because when I create these videos, I'm also creating it to create my own memories. And I would like it so that I could come back and watch my videos and understand what was running through my own mind when I was creating these designs. So that's why I have talked about this design and probably said things that maybe you guys aren't interested in. But anyhow, I hope you did enjoy watching me doing this design. I hope you like the design. If you do recreate it, please tag me on Instagram so that I can see a picture of it, because I would love to see that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.